Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And I'm back, and it's 11:32 a.m. and it is 30th of January 2024. And I, for the life of me, couldn't understand how to fix the erratic noise cancellation of my mic because sometimes it works wonderfully and sometimes it just doesn't work. So I really don't get it. And as always, I just ended up helplessly just leaving it to its own devices after trying whatever I could. First of all, I don't even understand why after the updates, the noise suppression option just got removed. There's no noise suppression or noise reduction, and that got removed like a long time ago after the updates. But after that, I still, when I checked all the other things, then it worked. It worked pretty well, but I don't know why. Again, this last that episode where there was a lot of noises, why it picked those noises up, especially with the DVD, making all those clicking and humming noises because it never picks those noises up ever. It happens, the clicking and this and all that. It happens with the DVD. Sometimes it does it some sort of a movement, whatever it is, some background activity, and never picks it up. But anyway, so I do apologize once again for that episode where there was a lot of clicking and beeping. So yeah, I hope this time nothing happens, and I hope this time it works. But to stay on the safe side, I am sort of doing it at a point where there's complete silence. As you know, I actually do prefer to have a little bit of background sounds, but I do not like the other kind of sounds that just seep in for no reason when I'm not in a mood for them to seep in. So the election commission and what the illegal U.S. imported dogs are up to. Number one, I don't know if I mentioned this in my podcast or if it was right after my podcast, but it was yesterday morning, I think. Yesterday early in the morning, um, I get this call um, from, it was Sunday morning, I think. I get this call from one of the Muslim League uh, members, and he's like, you need to vote for Muslim League. And I'm like, why do I need to vote for Muslim League? And then he's like, oh, no, it's your choice. I'm like, if it's my choice, then why the hell are you calling me and telling me to vote for Muslim League? Why are you telling me to vote for Nawaz Sharif's party? I'm like, who the hell allowed you to even call me on my private number so early in the morning and disturb me on a Sunday just so that you can dictate to me who I need to vote for? And then I just put the phone down on him. And, that same morning they'd call everybody because my father received the call, my mother received the call and all. And then some really odd thing happened last night. Last night, my father, my mother, and I, we simultaneously got a phone call from this supposedly landline number, which I later on blocked. And that number, I found it very suspicious. And I'm thinking that this is probably one of those things, those new things that the illegal government is now trying to do to tap onto people's privacy. This number was 04238620023. First, I thought that this number was probably maybe linked to one of those charity hospitals and all, but that charity hospital number, although a few digits are similar, but no, it's not the same exact code. That begins with 380. This is 386. So the weird part about this thing is it's really odd, okay? Is that when I was saying hello, nobody was answering, but at the same time, I could hear my mother saying hello from completely two different ends. I could hear her saying hello from her room, and then I could hear her say hello from within my phone, like through that call. So I found that highly suspicious, and then I just dropped the call, and in fact, the call dropped, and I immediately blocked the number. So there are these weird ass activities that are being done. And then there's another thing that the Election Commission has started in order to tamper with the election commissions, which again leads me on to my opinion regarding the fact that I feel we need to boycott the elections because it's just going to make things worse. And that is the the election commission has started this new thing where now it has separated family members. Now, normally, as has always been, if you're living in one house and you belong to one area, then your polling station is always within that area, right? So in my residential area, the polling station has always been inside our area because we actually have that capacity to do so. And every year, every election year, we have always had a polling station set up within the area, right? And yet this time what they've done is not only have they separated the polling station for each family member that belongs to one same house in one same area, but they have tried to put us really far from our areas. So instead of actually giving us a polling station that is in our area, they are sending us to far off areas that are literally half an hour drives. Especially if you have traffic, then it can be up to 40 minutes drive, right? And they're doing this in order to discourage people from going and voting, obviously. So they are deliberately messing with people's polling stations in their areas, and they're messing with their families so that they can separate the families first, and then they can, so they're making it so difficult, and they're turning it into a hassle so that people can say, just F it, we're not doing it. So this is why I'm saying that if they are finally, agreeing to have an election, although they're still 50-50 on it, but the fact is that they're already taking steps. Right from the start, they had been, they'd begun to take steps to ensure that if ever there is an election, it should be 100% to their advantage. So I don't see why we need to act like a civilized nation because we are not one. Okay. So why do we need to act like one and sit and wait for the elections? We need to boycott it immediately, and that is a fact, okay? Because we cannot take concrete steps to make sure that these are fair and free elections, okay? And the IMF has, not only disturbed us with their taxes, but they have now increased problems for areas like Gilgit-Baltistan, where they basically get wheat. As we know, Punjab is the main wheat provider. It has been the wheat provider for Bangladesh even for a long time. So Punjab is the main wheat provider for the whole of Pakistan. And obviously, wheat, flour is one of those things that is subsidized. And the IMF has now suddenly dictated to the government that, that there should be no subsidy. So first, the IMF claims that it has nothing to do with creating poverty in Pakistan, and it has nothing to do with, with making people's lives more difficult in Pakistan. They were blaming the Pakistani illegal government for doing that. But now, can they honestly, eschew from that responsibility when the IMF itself is monitoring and dictating, and it is itself laying out all these rules that there should be no subsidy, there should be no this. So they are themselves actually making the lives of the normal people miserable. So in Gilgit-Baltistan, where they had already begun their protests on fake billing, hidden taxes, illegal billing, and as you know, that where the rest of Pakistan suddenly just, after 1 week of protest, they just sat down. But Gilgit-Baltistan and KPK and the northern areas, they never sat down. They continued with their protests. And now their protests are just gaining momentum because more and more things are being thrown in, they're being thrown in the protests, because apart from the bills, then you've got the gas problems, which are again deliberately created. Then you've got now the subsidy items that are no longer subsidized. So things are piling on, and Punjab is reacting in its own way. But in my opinion, Punjab is doing a very stupid thing by just, being aggressive towards the politicians and all. I think Punjab needs to create a momentum of their own in protest and join in again. There's so many things right now going on that can very, very easily make the whole Pakistan unitedly stand and do a full scale, national level protest, which we have been doing. I know that, but again, it's not the way I'm saying that needs to be done. What I'm saying is it needs to be done the way it was done prior to the elections, when led by Imran Khan. It needs to be done when it was done when Imran Khan was ousted. It needs to be done the way it was done when Pakistan and Hong Kong both at the same time had completely locked down their countries in a nationwide protest. That's a different story, that the world preferred to focus on Hong Kong because that suited national interests of America and Britain, and Pakistan's lockdown by the people, Pakistan's complete shutdown by the people on the streets was not. It was actually going against American interests, obviously, and British interests. Which leads me again to the fact that look at how blatantly shameless America and Britain are, and Europe, and the Netherlands. The Netherlands that always talks about freedom of everything. Suddenly they remember that they're Christians, that they need to have a crusade against Muslims. So the Netherlands Europe, the whole of Europe and America that have lived off of the Islamic system for almost a century now. The fact that they have, become what they are today because of the Islamic system that they have lived off, and now suddenly they want to go against the people of that system, the Muslims. So again, I would say it again that they are literally courting their own demise. But the problem is that before they die, they are definitely going to ruin the world. They're going to screw with the world, because World War, which is actually going to be a crusade. It's not going to be just a world war. This is actually their crusade. So it's going to be a crusade. And so at the end of the day, the dreaded jihad that they are so scared of is going to happen, because their crusade is our jihad. So if jihad is bad, then your crusade is bad, because remember, they're both the same thing, actually. You call them crusade, we call it jihad, but it's actually the same thing. So, the Muslims are obviously in the right, because they have been torturing the Muslims for, a century. After borrowing the system, after making themselves what they are today, they have been dehumanizing Muslims. They have been committing genocide against Muslims. America, remember, was actually behind the Bosnian genocide. Okay, and it's just that time they were not prepared to very openly admit to it. So when the world, went against the whole thing, then America pretended that they were on the side of the Bosnians. But remember, America was literally weaponizing and financing Serbs. Okay. Similarly, the Rohingya Muslims that are being, massacred, that genocide is going on. And again, because it serves American interests, so nobody's talking about it. Then the Palestinian Front, again, because it was serving their interest. Now because they think that they have actually laid out all the plans, everything has come to a completion. Now, it's just the culmination point. So now they're actually ready to open up, expose themselves, and say, yeah, we're here to kill everybody. So that's what America and Britain is all about. They are both saying that, yes, this was our plan, and we are not going to allow anybody in the world to interfere with our plan on recolonization, on stealing of more resources from the Muslim countries that we've already stolen from centuries ago, and we're still stealing from at the moment. And we want to once more control the whole world. After all, that's why we built the United Nations, so that we can keep that in hand. And now, nobody's going to stop us. But obviously, the problem with the rest of the world is that the rest of the world is kind of catering to them by not sending a collective army, to stop it. Listen, if the world really does not want a war, then the United Nations needs to send its peace troops to Palestine. Okay? But the fact that the United Nations has failed to do so even now, up till now, they haven't even sent their troops. I don't even know what they're thinking, right? So that is saying a lot. It's saying a lot. It proves all our points regarding the United Nations, and the existence of the United Nations and the control of the Western world on it. The United Nations is once again is just a drama. It's just a show put on, And the real reason behind United Nations has always been to keep control. Okay. So at the moment, we have a world crisis created by these insane people who literally have this God complex, and they think that it is, it is their duty and their right and their responsibility to own the earth and to lord over it and to rule over it. But obviously, they're the ones that are going to die, as I said. At the end, America is definitely going to implode. It's going to explode, it's going to implode, it's going to self destruct, and it's going to be destroyed by the rest of the world because of what it is doing to the rest of the world. The same as with Europe. They are literally going to push their people back to the dark ages. Europe is going to definitely be destroyed. So there's no doubt there. It's going to be destroyed on all levels. So, again, it doesn't matter to a person like me. I don't even care that it's going to be destroyed or not. Why? Because in the process towards their destruction means destroying everybody else. You see, that's the main problem. They are going to wreak havoc all over the world. So I think that the world needs to be prepared. The world, instead of just yelling, stop, 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 the world actually needs to physically put a stop to it. Otherwise, it is going to blow out into this full-fledged crusade. Okay, it's as simple as that, like it or not. Yes, in this crusade, you will actually have people, you will have countries that are supposedly, you will have countries basically like Russia and China that are not Muslims, but they will be with this side. Yes, they will be against the Americans and the Europeans, because despite the fact that the Americans and the Europeans are considering it to be a crusade, and in a sense it is a crusade because the vast majority that are being harmed by them are Muslims. So Muslims will have to do a follow up on that. There will be a crusade. But the fact that China and Russia are also, um, you know, uh, literally being targeted by the Western world. So yes, that means that China and Russia will definitely step in. And I think that no matter how much countries will try to stay away from this, they cannot. So I think that countries really need to be ready and they need to prep for it, but not at the expense of their people. Okay. For example, the illegal government of Pakistan, they're not prepping us for wars, for a war that could defend us. No, they're actually being prepped, and they are prepping this country for a war that we have to fight, which once again is detrimental to us because we are going to be used by the British and the Americans in this war once again. And that is what this whole Iranian thing is about. The fact that despite the fact that Iran and Pakistan decided not to pursue any any violence after what happened, and everybody went back to their places, both the embassies opened up again, and the very next day, I mean before they could actually even open up, again somebody gets attacked. So what does that tell you? That tells you that America was not happy with the fact. America wanted Pakistan to push on against Iran. America wanted, as remember, America has always wanted that the Muslim world should never be united because it's so weird. It's really weird. But the Americans are so scared of Muslim unity and they're so scared of jihad. It's laughable, seriously. You have no idea the kind of tricks America and Britain have been pulling for the past century. The kind of lame-assed tricks that they've been pulling, the kind of strategic tricks that they've been pulling, in order to divide the Muslim world, in order to divide Muslims within one country, and they have not exactly succeeded because, as you can see, it took them ages and ages, and they had to literally create a war in Syria in order to give rise to, because that conflict that they were trying within Syria, it wasn't working. Similarly, they've tried that in Pakistan like a million times. It hasn't really worked the way they wanted it to. You know, Pakistanis are too lazy. I told you, Pakistanis are just too lazy. So similarly, because in Islam, tolerance, endurance, patience these are key. This is why I think at the end of the day, in the name of patience and tolerance and endurance, Muslims have become too lazy. They've become too complacent. And that is why it has been so easy for the Western world to dehumanize Islam, to dehumanize Muslims, while at the same time fully benefiting from the Islamic system, right? Their women rights, their children rights, their laws, their economic structure, their constitutional structure, their legal structure, everything, the social structure, every single thing is based on the Islamic system. And they have fully benefited from it while not allowing the Muslims to benefit from it. And you if you look at if you look at the Western world and compare it with the Middle East, then you will have a pretty good idea of the life standard in the Middle East is extremely high. In fact, probably has the highest standard in the whole world. The quality of things in the Middle East surpasses that of the rest of the world. So yeah, I mean, America and Europe, they are barely there if you compare them. If you even look at the crime rate in the Middle Eastern countries, it's basically on the minus. It's not even zero, it's basically on the minus. Why? Because of the strict laws, right? Those same laws that the Americans are always trying to protest against, those same laws are the laws that have kept the Middle East a crime-free region, basically. Okay, as opposed to America and Europe, where they actually tampered with those laws and calling them conservative, calling them old-fashioned, or calling them obsolete, and that is why there is this huge crime rate in Europe and America compared to the Middle Eastern regions. So you have to take these things into account, instead of blindly talking about things that you don't know. And that is the fact that the most ignorant people, are again those of the Western world who have no clue as to what exactly their governments have been up to. They have no clue what their governments have been doing. They always wake up right at the end when all the damage is done. They woke up right at the end when Iraq was already, damaged. They woke up at the end when Syria was damaged. And they're always looking to blame Saudi, and they're looking to blame, hello, it's your own government. Your own government is 100% behind everything. Saudi is being used by the American government. Okay. Remember that the royal family in Saudi is not even the original genuine royal family of Saudi. These are those that were planted by your government, by the British, and then later your government has been heavily involved in it. And that is the only reason why finally Israel has got an entry in Saudi, which was something that was never allowed. Never allowed. Even the previous kings of Saudi, despite the fact that they knew that they were agents of America and Britain and Israel, but because they actually have a Jewish background originally, so they literally could not even dare to open the doors to Israel because they were still not confident enough that they could pull that off. So as you can see, as I said, because all the plans have reached their final stage, that is why one by one all these things are happening. The doors are being opened for Israel and Saudi Arabia, which could never have happened and never would have been allowed. Then you have Israel stomping all over Palestine openly in front of the world, and nobody is able to do anything. Actually, people can do a lot if they want to, but nobody's doing anything. Nobody's bothering with it. So these things are definitely coming into play. And once again, I would say that it's the people, the fact that the people were living under this illusion that they belonged to a free state when they were never a free state, the fact that the people had this illusion that they had control over their government and they could stop their government, which has time and again been proved wrong, because you have Vietnam, you have Iraq, you have Syria, you have Palestine. I mean, what have you been able to stop seriously? What have you people been able to stop up to date? So I think that people really need to wake up and smell the coffee right now, okay? And I think that China, Russia, and other countries, they need to stop just verbally, condoning or not condoning whatever it is that is going on in the world. I think that they need to now physically work towards putting a stop to it if they really do want to. Otherwise, as I said, we are definitely heading for war. And we can see it from our own government's behavior. The fact that they are disregarding the people of Pakistan, the fact that our establishment and army do not care about the fact that they have been exposed as traitors, the fact that they do not care now, that they have gone, they are scared, they're shitting their pants, but they cannot even afford to now fix it because they're so scared of their American masters, who are dictating everything to them. And they know that they've already lost the people of Pakistan, so they cannot afford to lose their masters either now. And that is why they're just pushing ahead. They're just pushing ahead aggressively like fools, shoving everything in, forcing everything down our throats. And why? Because, oh, America is their master, and America has said that the plan has come to fruition and all the doors need to be opened. So that's what's going on. So people, again, think about it. Just think about it. This is something we've been talking about for years, and there were so many people that tried to claim that this was misinformation, but everything has come out in the open. These are things that I've hinted in my books as well, because to me, as a writer, I feel that it is our responsibility to bring out the truth to people, to let them see what exactly is going on, even if it is fiction. So although my books are fiction, but every single information put in regarding history, regarding current affairs, regarding racism, regarding discrimination, regarding global affairs, regarding everything you know has been put in, um, that has been put in has been from real archives. Okay, they have been put in from real research, and they're the truth, right? Because I feel that I have seen so many writers distort the truth, in the name of fiction. And as an avid reader myself, I do know that even when we read fiction, when there is even the slightest bit of information that has some relation to the truth, or to something that has been going on in reality, then we consider that information, and we do try to think that, oh, okay, is this actually what is going on, even if it's fiction that we're reading. So this is why I have been very, very careful not to distort the truth, when I add it to my works of fiction. And I think that this is a duty and a responsibility of all writers who actually think that it's okay to mix the truth with fiction and then distort that truth completely. Yeah, I think we cannot really do that, because readers really do learn. They really do learn from that. So, well, this is me hoping that people will actually see what's going on. And I know people are now actually beginning to see what's going on. But let me tell you one thing: we need to physically stop the genocide in Palestine. We need to physically stop India from committing that same genocide in Kashmir. Okay? So we have two fronts here. We have Kashmir and we have Palestine. And they're both right now being ethnically cleansed. And who is behind it all? Your great America and Britain. Always, as always. These are the two fitnas of the world. And India is the third fitna. We have actually three fitnas. You have the global fitnas, which are Britain and America and their allies, their NATO allies. And then in Asia, you've got one fitna, and that is India. These three fitnas, who believe that they have this God complex, and they believe that they can do anything they want to, and that the world owes them, and they own the world, and this needs to stop. It needs to be physically stopped. Well, this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.